What's up everyone, today we'll be taking an in-depth look at the Pokemon Go World Championship Grand Final in the Senior Division. We got the currently completely undefeated MeWeedle from the UK. Like, actually completely undefeated. 2-0, then 2-0, then 3-0, all of his opponents versus Alan from Japan, who's had a little rougher time and even lost to MeWeedle in the semifinals and then had to go to the losers finals in order to end back up in the grand finals. This means that if Alan wants to win, he has to win 2 best of 5s in a row, whereas MeWeedle would only have to win one of them to take the crown. Looking at these two teams, they both have something interesting on them. MeWeedle has brought the Araquanid combined with 2 steel types, Swampert, Trevenant, and Alolan Ninetales. And then Alan is bringing quad Shadow with the Shadow Alolan Marowak, Swampert, Nidoqueen, and a Walrein combined with Obstagoon and Alolan Ninetales. MeWeedle's Araquanid is looking super strong here because it kind of hard walls the Obstagoon, the Shadow Swampert, and Walrein, whilst it still has decent play versus the Alolan Ninetales and the Marowak. Really only has to watch out for the Nidoqueen, but even there Araquanid has some play with the super effective Bubble Beams, and Bug Buzz does some damage too. Besides that, MeWeedle has the Nidoqueen covered quite well with Galarian Stunfisk and Swampert, which both do decent against Alan's team too. Really, both only have 1 counter, or actually 2 counters for Galarian Stunfisk. Galarian Stunfisk really has to watch out for Swampert and Obstagoon, which, well, the Araquanid covers perfectly. And Swampert really only has to watch out for the Walrein, which, again, the Araquanid covers perfectly. So for MeWeedle, Araquanid, Stunfisk, Swampert core is an extremely solid team, which is just very hard for Alan to break unless he gets his counters aligned properly. Speaking of counters, the Nidoqueen on Alan, I feel like is almost a must bring for that Araquanid, just because it's really your only counter. But if it gets aligned to one of the ground types, that is trouble. So maybe he's gonna go with a little bit of a safer line, try to, I don't know, maybe bring the Alolan Marowak, since it can deal with both Stunfisk and Araquanid reasonably well, or maybe the Alolan Ninetales, since it's okay versus both Swampert and Araquanid. But then of course the steel types are trouble. Just looking at the teams, I think MeWeedle has a lot more play here than Alan. MeWeedle has the very flexible Araquanid on his team, where Alan really lacks much flexibility. So I'm very curious to see what Alan will bring here. We won't have to wait long to find out, as we're gonna head right in a second. MeWeedle is running double ground Araquanid strat like expected, and Alan is actually running a team triple weak to Araquanid, which is so interesting. Let's see if they can play out of this. We see Araquanid into Walrein, he instant switches into the Swampert because it is definitely a better answer to Stunfisk, and also has the Obstagoon in the back for it too. Araquanid comes in. Alan is actually running a Sludge Wave, which makes the Araquanid matchup a lot less bad. You should still lose this, but you are in a better spot there. MeWeedle really timing his Bug Buzz perfectly here. They should knock out the Swampert, but Alan decides to shield it. Wants to get off another Sludge Wave here, but decides to bait, and MeWeedle falls for it, gets the bait, will be able to get to another Sludge Wave here. Wow, gets to another Sludge Wave. This will knock out the Araquanid if MeWeedle decides to no shield, which he does. Alan has just eliminated the biggest threat for his team, and now the Walrein and Obstagoon are both looking. Right, MeWeedle brings in a Swampert versus Alan's Swampert here, which he tries to farm down with Mudshot, but that isn't possible before the Swampert from Alan's side gets to another Hydro Cannon, which MeWeedle was kind of forced to shield. In comes the Swampert from Alan's side now. MeWeedle tries to bait it with a Hydro Cannon, but Alan doesn't fall for it, as it probably wouldn't even knock out the Swampert from that point. MeWeedle tries to go reach for the Earthquake there, but not before an Icicle Spear hits from Alan's side. Switches into the Galarian Stunfisk now, which Alan responds to with the Obstagoon. Obstagoon with a shield up, just looking pretty good here. Gonna fire off the Cross Shop onto this Galarian Stunfisk, which puts this Stunfisk deep into the yellow. Earthquake coming out there. Alan no shields at this point. This should be in the bag for Alan. He can probably even let his Obstagoon go or shield this. Yeah, he does decide to let it go. Probably going for a wall range sweep here. He he should be alright. Even reaches for a switch there, but switch timer isn't up. Just gonna go for the Night Slash. I don't think he really wants to get farmed, but I'm by the Swampert, so he undercharges here. Farms is down anyway, since he knows the Swampert can't get that much energy. And I think he's close to move as well. Oh wow, wait, if MeWeedle baited here, would this have been possible? Oh no, it would not have been possible, as he's still one much shot away from the Hydro Cannon. Alan takes this game, going triple weak to the Araquanid and still coming out on top because of that Sludge Wave Swampert. I think MeWeedle should have probably preserved that Araquanid a little better. Maybe even consider throwing a Bubble Beam bait into the Swampert. I mean, I think even if they no-shield that, does enough damage to either knock it out, or at very least it debuffs it, which will make the Sludge Waves do much less damage. So I think MeWeedle might try to preserve his Araquanid a little longer in the next game. Which we don't have to wait long for, as we're heading right into this battle. Both trainers sticking to their guns. Araquanid, double ground for MeWeedle, and Obstagoon, Walrein, Swampert for Alan. Alan deciding to keep the order, and MeWeedle pivoting to a Araquanid lead, which he must be extremely happy with, seeing as he has his Araquanid locked into this Walrein right now. Araquanid really the best wall for Walrein, only Pokemon in the game, only viable Pokemon in the game that resists every single charge move Walrein has to throw at it. Alan forced to stay in as well, unfortunately, as he has an Obstagoon in the back, which loses even harder to Araquanid. MeWeedle actually deciding to pivot into his Galarian Stunfisk here, probably expecting the Obstagoon in the back, and he wants that Araquanid aligned to it later. Alan switches in the Swampert, forced to switch. Well, actually, I don't think he was forced to shoot an Earthquake there. I think he would have barely survived, but wants to keep the Swampert healthy, as it is really his best line of defense versus the Araquanid at this point. Was forced to go 2 shields down though versus that Galarian Stunfisk, and now is faced up against MeWeedle's Swampert. I would assume MeWeedle no shields, but no, actually he shields this up. Makes sense actually, because a Hydro Cannon from this opposing Swampert would do a ton of damage, more damage than it would ever do versus Araquanid, or more damage than the Swampert would, or the Walrein Obstagoon would ever do against the Araquanid. So shields the hardest hitting move, makes a lot of sense. I expect the Swampert to come back in from Alan at this point, but no, it switches to Obstagoon. Makes sense, since Obstagoon, you know, loses even harder versus Araquanid than Walrein. So he opts to use it here, get off the Night Slash, then maybe switch into the Walrein, hoping to get a farm down, or maybe throw 5 counters or a couple counters and then switch out. Gonna switch into the Walrein now, into the incoming Araquanid. This Ice Cold Spear won't knock it out though. He's actually gonna undercharge as well. I think he's hoping to get a farm down with the Obstagoon and the Night Slash, the Swampert. Unfortunately for Alan though, Swampert does have a move stored and will win CMP against Obstagoon, so this should be a game here. This should be a game here. Very well played by Alan actually. Again, running triple weak to Araquanid and almost managing to win this game. Alan really playing super well, just like MeWeedle honestly. MeWeedle not making many mistakes either, but also has a big team comp advantage, so he can actually afford some mistakes, whereas Alan has to play absolutely perfectly to win any games, which I do believe he's doing, but just not gonna be easy. Next game, we see Galarian Stunfisk into a Walrein lead again. Alan this time switching it up with Alolan Ninetales in the back instead of Obstagoon. I like that. You're a lot weaker versus a Galarian Stunfisk then, but do have a better answer to Araquanid. But even Alolan Ninetales with neutral charms and resisting the bug moves is not a great match. These charms really aren't doing that much against the bulk Araquanid. Look at this, the bug bites are actually doing more damage at this point after you've been debuffed, and this Psy Shock won't do anything either. Yeah, even though you're resisting the bug bites, this just isn't that good. You can go for the Bug Buzz now as well, which should knock out this Alolan Ninetales. Alan lets it go, probably expects the Bug Buzz. Oh, it actually doesn't knock out, but should be able to Bug Bite down. But yeah, even if you expect the Bug Buzz there, you're not going to shield it. At that point, you're debuffed. You're basically useless. MeWeedle trying to go for the Bug Buzz there, but can't reach it. Goes for the Bubble Beam first, this Swampert. Alan, good counting. Realize it is not a Bug Buzz. Lets it go. Now it's Swampert with a shield down versus MeWeedle's own Swampert and the Galarian Stunfisk. This Swampert does have a lot of energy for Alan, so he's gonna fire off the Hydro Cannon right away versus the incoming Swampert, which MeWeedle no shields. Probably gonna see a shield right here, since MeWeedle definitely doesn't want Alan Swampert aligned to his own. In comes the Warrain from Alan's side at this point, which MeWeedle switches his Stunfisk into. This Warrain is super loaded though, throws an Icicle Spear, and MeWeedle calls the bait. If that would have been an Earthquake, that would have been devastating. Alan going for another Icicle Spear. Another no shield from MeWeedle. Can MeWeedle Swampert do it at this point? And it's not looking good. It's not looking good for MeWeedle. Another Icicle Spear gets shielded. And he's already at another one, which should knock out Swampert. Alan playing out of his mind and getting the lead here in this set versus this extremely, well, disadvantageous team comp for him. MeWeedle keeps having to juggle his Stunfisk around the Warrain, Swampert, and Obstagoon, which just hasn't been working out for him. So this time he's bringing a stronger Pokemon to that trio in Alolan Ninetales in his place. It does make his lineup a lot weaker versus Nidoqueen and Alolan Marowak though. But luckily for him, Alan hasn't brought it this time, and the Alolan Ninetales actually looking very good. He's facing off against a Warrain lead though into his Swampert, which is not ideal. So we're gonna see him instant switch into the Alolan Ninetales now. If Alan would have had a Nidoqueen right there, that would have been absolutely devastating for MeWeedle, but it doesn't end up being the Queen. Swampert comes in there, which is a pretty good matchup for the Alolan Ninetales if shields are up. He's calling a Hydro Cannon bait here. Really good call by MeWeedle. Can now just shield once, fully farm this down, or decide to let this go and just farm it down with his own Rock. But it's actually opts to shield, farm down this Swampert, and almost at a move. Probably not going to be able to reach the move against whatever comes in. But, yeah, oh yeah, doesn't reach it. But now has an Araquanid lined up again versus this Warrain, which as we saw is just such a dominant matchup for the bug, a water type. And still has the Swampert left over as well. Alan really in a tough spot right there. All we can do is chip the Araquanid as much as possible and then hope that the Obstagoon can clean up. Gonna throw another Icicle Spear here. This will do a decent chunk of damage versus the Spider, but not even put it close to the red. Alan decides to no shield this incoming Bug Buzz, probably hoping it's a Bubble Beam, but it is not. It's a Bug Buzz. Takes out the Warrain. In comes the Obstagoon right now, and MeWeedle is free to just Bubble Beam this thing and drop his attack down to nothing. This is the annoying thing about Araquanid. Once you have no Pokemon left, or I mean one Pokemon left, no Pokemon on the bench, it just makes your Pokemon completely useless. These counters are doing nothing against Swampert. The Araquanid has brought the Obstagoon into Hydro Cannon range basically. If you add a couple more Mud Shots and this Night Slash, since the Obstagoon is the buff, that will do nothing. MeWeedle wisely no-showing the first one just in case the Obstagoon gets the boost. Which, well, luckily for him it doesn't. But even if he did, it wouldn't have mattered, since he would have just shielded his next Night Slash, Mud Shot down, and then tie up the series. In this final game, we see an amazing lead for MeWeedle with the Araquanid into the Warrain. Alan switched into the Alolan Ninetales, probably not expecting the Galarian Stunfisk this time, as MeWeedle's lineup without the G-Fisk worked out really well for him last time, but unfortunately for Alan, does get met by the Galarian Stunfisk. Very good team read by MeWeedle here. Probably expecting the Alolan Ninetales to come back out here. This is a very dominant matchup here. MeWeedle really over farming to the maximum here. Gets up to almost 100 energy before throwing the Rock Slide right before the Weather Ball can fire. The only thing Alan can do here is bring in the Warrain and just take this energy, as Nidoqueen won't really be too useful here with the resisted poison jabs and Earth Power taking so much energy. Talking about the Nidoqueen, I think I talked about it earlier in the video. I was expecting Alan to rely on it to beat the Araquanid, but he hasn't brought it out until now, and unfortunately for him, it's gonna get aligned to the Swampert in the end game, and with a shield deficit, this is definitely looking over for Alan at this point. Throws the Hail Mary Earth Power. I really love this play. You know, when you're really down like this, you have to go for the only play that can potentially get you the win, and that is the Earth Power. It's actually quite obvious that MeWeedle is gonna shield there, But even if you get a Poison Fang bait there, you guarantee a loss. The only play you can go for is the Earth Power and hope they forget Shield's Exist, which, well, MeWeedle, being the absolute stud of a player he is, of course doesn't. Shields the Earthquake very wisely and is now going to be able to probably sweep with a Rock on it, which at this point might have become his signature Pokemon, since he was basically the only one in the Seniors Division and Masters Division to run it, especially with this success. It's gonna fire off another Hydro. Actually, doesn't even sweep with the Araquanid. It actually sweeps with the Swampert, takes out the Walrein, and well, MeWeedle becomes the Senior World Champion. Congrats to him. Hats off to Alan as well for making it this close, since he was in a huge team comp disadvantage. So really well played, especially in that first game. He really showed some, well, some skills there with, you know, beating a Araquanid with a lineup triple weak to Araquanid. That is super impressive. So hats off to him. Really hope we see more of him. Next season, there won't be a Seniors Division. All these younger battlers will be playing in the Masters Division as well, which I think is a good thing, since they definitely got the talent to play with the older people. Even, well, not even just, you know, play with. They're probably gonna destroy us, honestly. I am personally scared, but we'll see. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next video. Good luck, you battle trainers.